Some AliExpress watches are not worth the money. Yes, a lot of watches on AliExpress have a good spec sheet for the price, but some of them are just cheap crap. I recently spotted this watch on AliExpress and I thought that it had a cool design and it looked good for the money. But after handling it, it's a watch that I do not recommend. Now, I wasn't even going to make a video on this watch because, well, what's the point? But then I thought, no, let's actually voice it when I find a watch that I don't like. And hopefully break the myth that all AliExpress watches are great value for money. Yes, this watch has an automatic movement and 100 meters of water resistance for just £60. But that alone just doesn't make this a good watch, because some watches on AliExpress are just cheap parts thrown together, ticking the boxes with a spec sheet without actually delivering anything of substance. And I'll also show you what you should buy instead. Oh, and please subscribe. We're on the road to 100,000 and I'd love to have you on board. Now, Addiesdive is one of my favorite brands on AliExpress. I've reviewed quite a few of their watches now, including this one not too long ago, which I recommended to you guys as a good watch. However, this one just falls short in a lot of departments, to the point where I just wouldn't recommend this to anyone. So what is it about this watch that I don't like? I think the best way to describe this watch and what's wrong with it is just a lack of refinement. And of course, you shouldn't really expect refinement from AliExpress, but there are some watches on AliExpress that do offer a bit of refinement, but I think generally speaking, these are more common than these. The first thing I hate about this watch is this crown. It is so small. It is near impossible to screw down because you just can't get a grip on it. This crown should be on a 36mm watch, not one that's this big. And the case sides too, it's just not been designed well to be able to grip, because it's got that sort of Rolex Oyster bubble case, so you really just can't get a good grip on this crown. The next thing, these end links, they're terrible. They are solid in construction, which a lot of people would sort of tick off the box and be like, oh yeah, that's a great specification, but they just don't fit the watch. I mean, there's a big gap at the end of the end links here where it doesn't meet the case. Then this actual part of the lug is so sharp, you could genuinely cut yourself on that bit if you wasn't careful. And I know some watches do have this feature where the end links sit a little bit further back than the actual lugs, but I mean, this is quite dramatic. Again, it's just a lack of refinement, just watchmakers don't care. Another thing, the crystal on this is only a piece of mineral, which, you know that before you buy it, so it's not a surprise, but just look at the size of it. This thing is a scratch magnet. If it's a piece of mineral, it should be flat in construction so that it at least has a chance of avoiding scratching. But when you put a huge dome on here like this, it just will pick up scratches. And this isn't me saying you need to use sapphire on watches. Use a piece of acrylic, that's fine. Or just use a piece of mineral and have it flat with the bezel. Now, although the dial design here is good looking, it literally has no detail. There's no different finishes, there's no levels to the dial. It is just a flat print on a matte black surface. Also notice here how the hands and the indexes, they don't match in color at all. Like, it genuinely looks like these are two parts that weren't made to be put together. Now, the position of the date window is okay, but it does somewhat ruin the aesthetic of the watch because it contrasts so heavily with the dial. A color match date wheel would look amazing here, but they haven't done that to save cost. But realistically, this dial would look the best without a date window at all. But that would mean spending a little bit more money on the NH38, which again increased cost. The design of this watch leans more towards it being like a go anywhere, do anything adventure piece, right? Well, it's actually as thick as a dive watch. This thing is just over 13mm thick. So it's big, it's chunky, and it's quite heavy. And because of that thickness, it means that that crystal is going to wear even higher against the wrist, making it even more likely to pick up more scratches. And I recently found out that the design of this watch isn't original either. When I first bought this watch, I was under the impression that it was somewhat of an original design. I thought Addiesdive had cleverly mixed up a Hamilton Murph, sort of Rolex Explorer vibe, but no, it turns out they just ripped off the design of a discontinued Seiko Alpinist model. Again, just making this watch a little bit crapper. And it's not like Addiesdive is not capable of creating an original design, because this particular model has an original dial. I genuinely wouldn't recommend this watch to pretty much anybody, especially when you can get this watch for pretty much the same money. This one has a more refined dial with different finishes and an original design. It does have a similar lug problem where they sit back, but these ones are less sharp. This one has a sapphire crystal instead of mineral, and it is flat. This watch is also thinner, so it's comfier to wear, and the crown is actually a decent size. I suppose the point I'm making is, although sometimes a watch looks like it might be good on paper, sometimes it's just a bit crap. And not all watches from AliExpress are good, even if they're made by one of the better watch brands on AliExpress. But honestly, the best thing to do if you want an affordable watch is to build your own. I built this watch using parts from AliExpress. It cost me less than $100 to make. unique. Titanium case, sapphire crystal, automatic movement. We're also using the NH38, so there's no ghost 8 position. I got to choose my favorite dial and hands, and the best part is I got to have the fun of putting all of this watch together. And if you want to watch me build this watch and potentially build your own, then go and watch this video right here. It's a fantastic video. Go check it out. I'll see you over there. Bye for now.